Okay, that's fine. I don't see anything for now. Oh yeah, you're recording on your side. Sorry.
Yes,
Um,
sorry.
so yeah, okay. So hello everyone. So today we are going to talk about using self-signed certificate in Cloud Score. Uh, so it's a general topic when we have customer installing Cloud Score. Some of these customers they use their own TLS certificate, and they don't rely on a third-party trusted provider to produce their certificate. So instead, they define their own root certificate, which they use to issue their own certificate for each service that they run internally. So such service can include, of course, CloudBScore, GitLab, GitHub Enterprise, I don't know, the Atlassian Suite, etc. And recurring issue that we've seen in the field is if you just install Cloud Score, it won't trust these root certificates by default because it just relies on whatever uh, certificates are provided as part of the Linux distribution that we run on top of. So we needed a way to basically provide this kind of certificate to Cloud Score so that we can trust this certificate and avoid these customers' hurdle and headaches when setting up a TLS certificate. Um, so the idea in general is to use volume that we mount in the different containers that are running as part of Cloud Score. So this will be mostly operation center, masters, and agents. So for each of these containers, we use a volume where we mount a certificate bundle that is provided by the customer. And this certificate bundle is mounted in the default path where most of the tools which are used by tools like Git or curl will read into a standard directory in their Linux distribution to look up this certificate directory. Um, so of course this can be done manually, and I think as part of the lab you will learn to do it. But it's easier to automate it and provide some generic way of configuring the certificate bundle, and then use this tooling that we've introduced, which we call the sidecar injector, to add the volume on the fly on anything that we run in a cluster. So it works by relying on some extension points, an admission controller that is part of Kubernetes. It's called mutating admission webhook. So in general, in most Kubernetes distribution, it is enabled now, but it's always a good step to first check that it is indeed enabled. So this is the kind of thing that you can type to check that it is enabled. Depending on the cloud provider, you may need to check that the security groups are set up properly. Mostly, it means that whatever runs the Kubernetes master, the control plane, needs to be able to access Kubernetes nodes or Kubernetes worker nodes on port 443, and and also the site, I mean the other way around, so that the connection can be established. We've seen some cases where, for instance, on EKS, where customers had customized the default setup and they were restricting this port, and this would prevent the tool from working. So in case you see unexpected behavior, that's always a good thing to check. So usually what you will do is create a certificate bundle. So certificate bundle is just a file, a text file that contains an aggregated list of TLS certificates. So in our case, we just use the default one that is in CJOC container. We copy it locally, then we add the certificate that we want to trust to that bundle. And we do the same for the Java layer, the Java version of it. Java use a different way to store the certificates, which is called a key store. So it's a slightly different way to interact with it. It's a binary file. So, but in the end, we have to store these two files into a config map. And these files will be mounted using volumes. Then the injector itself, so usually it should be installed in a separate namespace. That's just a best practice in Kubernetes. It's not mandatory, but it's recommended. And once it is installed, it will interact with the Kubernetes control plane by using the mutating admission webhook, which is part of the setup. So basically, this webhook will tell the Kubernetes control plane to say, okay, whenever a new pod is created, call this service, and then with the current pod definition, and then the service will give back a different view on the pod with some modifications. So in our case, with a new volume mount, so that the certificate bundle will be accessible inside the container. So yeah, mostly it's about following these steps and making sure that no mistake is committed. There are ways to check on the way that everything is correct. Second step is to enable the tool. So by default, it is not enabled on any container in any namespace because we don't want to interfere, for instance, with the containers which are running in the kubesystem namespace. We only want to affect Cloud vScore or potentially containers that we want to access HTTPS websites. So this works by just labeling a given namespace, and as soon as this namespace is labeled, any container that will be created inside, any pod that will be created inside this namespace will be decorated with whatever is specified in the tool configuration. So here's just about making sure that everything works. So this is just a sleep deployment that just sleeps for an infinite amount of time, and once it is deployed, we can get the pod definition and check whether the injector has added this label, which means it has done its work. So we can also inspect the concrete definition and see that there is a new volume and a new volume mount associated with it. So that's about it. So in the rest of the lab, I think we'll cover the different cases where there can be troubles with some of our customers and how to diagnose and to detect these conditions and how to fix them. How was it, Javier?
Great. Great. Thanks so much, Vincent.